Bing! We're live. Welcome to another week of Network Roundtable, the last episode of this season, and I'm really excited about this episode. We are really late today, but we've had some fun in the green room, and hopefully we're now going to have a whole lot of fun with you guys right here on Network Roundtable. In the house this week, we've got Kristin Drysdale as our +1 superhero, and Ammon Johns is joining us and rebelling against the branding for Network Roundtable. Not surprising that Ammon would rebel. And
who
of course,
just said nothing changes in the last hour? Who just said?
That was your rule, Dennis.
That's a comment about, yeah, that's my feeling is you don't change anything in the last hour. But Ammon, the expectation is you're putting up that, yeah, wow. And I call this guy my friend. He is merciless. All right, so let's start off first with the introduction of why. Well, we call it the loving all over each other. We're going to have Kristin love all over Ammon, and Ammon is going to love all over Kristin, explaining why they picked each other to be this week's +1 sidekicks and superheroes. After that, we're going to move to the Who Are You for Kristin, because we missed that on Monday. And then we'll move on from there. Stephanie, do you have any opening thoughts before we jump into intros?
Really? Is there anything I can say that would add to the general ambiance that we've got going? No. This is us. This is Network Roundtable, live and in person. So I think we just jump right in.
Live, in person, and unpolished. Welcome.
And
Hope
for
you're having
real.
fun. And what, Ammon?
And for real.
Real.
I gave Kristin this new hashtag. Please check it out. It's pretty funny. If you can't read it, it's the wheel Kristin Drysdale. I thought that was funny. Anyway, so Kristin, I'm going to have you tell us first why it is you selected Ammon as your +1 superhero or sidekick. And Ammon, I want you to tell us why you think that Kristin was a good fit for +1 superhero. So take it away, Kristin.
Okay. So to me, it's obvious that Ammon would be my sidekick because I have gone from small voice, mousy, to where I am now, where I get into the big boy conversations because I have had someone's little voice behind me say, "You actually know what you're talking about. You're doing okay, kid. You can actually join this conversation, and it's all right. You have a voice. Use it. Your experiences are your own. Bring them." And so, gosh, since we first started talking, he's had an effect on me. And I guess part of the mastery of that to me in my mind is that he has, gosh, he's Rand Fishkin's hero, right? Like, he's not above anybody, and that to me, that's a true hero. So, hero / sidekick, I don't know. They're of the same to me.
Let me tell you a story about Kristin. We were running a series of hangouts, and as a lot of these things do, it was getting really hard to get good female speakers. For some reason, they just don't want to come forwards. So I put out a post begging for the women of G+ to please help us out. I know there's a lot of experts out there. Step up. Let me know you're willing to come on a show. I will even write the topic around you and your expertise. None. Not a thing. Until Kristin saw the post. And she picked that up and she pushed it out there and she shook people into getting involved, and suddenly, you know, we got 6 people all at once, all willing to come on, and, you know, it's that ability to see that something needs doing and get on and do it that is what really makes a hero. We can all think of great ideas, but actually getting up and doing it is what makes somebody a hero. And on that alone, Kristin is absolutely there.
Thank you. It's still one of my favorite experiences that I've had, that post and seeing the women just step up into conversation. I mean, it was just, Stephanie, you were one of them. That was an amazing thing to watch these women just start talking, and yeah, really cool. Thank you for that opportunity.
Well, and I have to say thank you because Kristin is the one who got Ammon and I in a hangout together. So, thank you.
And we know where, like, all the amazing places that has gone.
Hey, I've got to thank Kristin because Kristin introduced Cheryl to Ammon, and Cheryl introduced me to Ammon. And so I wouldn't have Ammon as a friend without Kristin.
Oh.
So,
you know what? I have to say Cheryl really belongs in here, too.
She does, but we all know that's easier said than done, getting her. In fact, she's laid her foot down and said the next HOA she does has to have certain people in it, and if they're not there, she's not in one. So, yeah, I think there's actually work going on behind the scenes, but I'm not actually privy to any of that work. So
we just know that the awesomeness will ensue.
It will. Oh, and that HOA, if she gets that team together, will be very intriguing. So, all right, let's go ahead and do the who are you? Let's do it this way. Stephanie, I'm going to have you go first, asking her the 4 questions. And then I'm going to go second, and Ammon, we'll have you be the follow-up. And what I want to point out here is, especially to Kristin, I want to capture, if possible, your experience, because most people have noticed that who asks the question significantly changes their answers and their feelings to the questions being asked. And I think because all of us know you so well, my guess is this is going to be the most dramatic version of that since we started this 2 months ago. Stephanie.
All right, Kristin, you ready?
No, I'm really not.
Just remember, all we're doing is getting to know you, right? That's it. So I want to say, tell me something I don't know, okay? So here's the question. Kristin Drysdale, who are you?
I am a child of the higher power. However, anyone wants to perceive that, that is who I am first and foremost.
Why?
Because I believe that we have to know who we are before we can know where we're going.
Why?
Because it's the essence of who we are, that when we get in touch with our core, our essence, then we're able to see what is really out there and the possibilities.
Why?
Because that's where I'm stuck. You break it down to the core, what else do you have?
Oh, that's true. So thank you. Thank you for telling me.
You're welcome. Namaste.
You know, that was really cool. I had a feeling that at some point in time what just happened would eventually happen. We have sometimes even gone as many as 5 whys just because we didn't keep track. We've gone to 4 multiple times by mistake. But I always had a feeling that somebody would drill to their core so fast that the 3rd question would be irrelevant and unneeded. And I am not shocked at all that Kristin Drysdale drilled to her core faster than anyone has so far. So, Kristin,
Yes.
Who are you?
We're doing this again.
We're doing this again, but something different. Some other part of who you are.
Okay. I am mother and nurturer.
Why?
Because I have been blessed with amazing energy beyond my own for a reason I know not why. However, I know that it's my responsibility to nurture.
Why?
Because I feel that we are our brothers, our sisters, keepers, and being in the same phylum, being in the same energy frequency, we have the ability and the opportunity to grow upon each other's energies and make something greater than what we are.
Why?
Because that was how we were created.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Now I have to do it to you again. Kristin, who are you?
I am a student
Why?
because I have so many more things to learn.
Why?
Because the possibilities are endless.
Why?
Because the core energy of what we are, who we are, is good. And that goodness will always be manifested through learning.
Thank you.
Namaste.
I'm going to take a guess here, but I don't know that the last answer would have come to either of the other two of us, except Ammon. I think the first answer any of us could have asked you, and the first time through, we all would have gotten the same answer. But I'm guessing that Ammon influenced the answer on the last one. Am I right, Kristin?
Could be.
It's just a guess. And I just put you on the spot live.
That's okay.
All right. Stephanie, I'm going to turn it over to you to start running the next section of this because I've been talking a lot today.
No worries. I have a question for Kristin, though, before we leave the whole 4 questions exercise. Was it as bad as you saw it?
Yes.
Oh, you were supposed to say that. You were supposed to say, no, it was easy, and I'm so happy that we did it, and I feel better.
No, okay, so yes. However, I am grateful for the experience because it's the hard ones that bring us to the next level.
No. Okay. And did you notice a difference based on who was asking? Like, did you have a different feeling when I asked you the question as opposed to Ammon, as opposed to Dennis?
Well, yes, but you had the unfortunate spot of going first, so.
So I got the easy answer, right?
No, I was going to say you got I had the hardest time answering those. And then I started to relax a little bit more, and then I was like, oh, yeah, my mom. Yeah, oh, yeah, student, yeah.
Well, it was great, and thank you for playing along. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know it's helped people who maybe don't know you as well as we all do to get to know you a little better, which is the whole point.
Mm. I've told so many people, like in private chat, I'm really not looking forward to the why part. Just because it really, really does center, it zeroes in on these tough questions that are so important and so vital that we answer so that we can allow other people to then, like, if they're asked, well, who is this Kristin girl? So they can answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful things that I heard this morning, but it was of yesterday's broadcast from Ifat about Chris Messina and his response to Google and all that. It was, I can't even remember who it was that said it, but it might have even been Chris. He said that in order to know what Google is marketing, like you really have to ask these questions. Like they might be difficult, but you have to ask them so that we can know how to promote it.
Yeah. And what I find interesting about this exercise is that to me it actually has a lot to do with vision, because you have a very hard time developing a vision for yourself if you're not pretty clear about who you are and what you want to do.
Exactly.
So I don't know, do you see that? And Ammon, jump in, of course, if you see any connections between knowing who you are and developing your vision or deciding that you need to modify your vision.
Definitely. I mean, that's like one of the things that I said in the why questions was you have to know where you've been to know where you're going to go. You have to.
Who you are is part of your perspective, so it affects everything to do with vision. And who you are is one of the prime reasons for change. It's either wanting to change who you are or wanting to change the situation around you to better fit who you are. So yeah, absolutely.
So you can align everything.
Yeah. Now, as if we look at it in terms of our business or even our, social media activities, are there some kind of things that we can do for ourselves to help us get those things closer in alignment? Because my personal opinion, and it's just because of my journey as well, is a lot of times we start out thinking that our business is one thing, and it's not necessarily lined up with who we are. And it's only through, meeting other people and having to explain it over time and having people not understand it maybe, that we realize, well, the reason it's not clear to anybody else is because it wasn't clear to me or it wasn't in alignment. So do we have... Oh, go ahead, Ammon. That would be great.
It's the first thing that I always tell any client. The most important thing to start with is the USP. And that comes from knowing who you are. And not just knowing who you are to you, but knowing who you want to be to your customers. Who you are to them and who you want to be. I can think of 3 great examples there. The first is Google. Originally, the 2 founders, Brin and Page, just wanted to sell the algorithm, sell it. And they approached several search engines of the day, and none of them would buy it for 1 million. None of them. I mean, the guy at Yahoo is famous as the guy who didn't buy Google for 1 million. But then, okay, so they decide to start their own company, but the way it's funded today is completely different. The business is completely different from how it was seen back then. Back then, the idea was that you would pay to license the technology for your intranet. So they would sell the search technology to intranet so that companies could put Google search on their own sites. And of course, that didn't work out. And it was another company that pioneered search advertising that has since not only funded the whole of Google, 80% plus of Google's income is solely down to paid advertising in search. But it's the only reason Yahoo is still in business is that they own 20% of Google, and that Google's advertising is keeping Yahoo afloat. So it's one of those things. Another great example would be eBay, where originally the idea was to sell the software so that anyone could set up their own platform like eBay, but eBay itself was so successful as the showpiece that eBay became the business model. And the third one is a US example. I'm going to take Denny's. Now, Denny's restaurants had the thing of, everyone had heard of them, but they were as dead as could be. They were seen as old-fashioned. Everyone knew them. It was familiarity breeds contempt. So they did a survey, what do people think? Well, one of the things was a diner. And, diners are dead. And I said, no, actually, do you know what? We're not ashamed of being a diner. But what makes us a great American diner? And in asking why are we, they came to core decisions about what they wanted to be and about how sitting at a booth in a diner is a core activity for community building, and that's part of their identity today. And most of their social media today is about bringing conversation together in the same way that those diner tables do. So there's 3 examples.
Yeah, that's some successful and obviously some big successes that where people have been able to pivot or to take some input and say, oh, okay, so it looks better or it works better given what we know and what we want to do, going this direction. If I think about someone, we always talk about me on this show. I always talk about me. But if I think of someone like myself who works basically by themselves, or someone who's in a company maybe with a couple of people, sometimes I think the hardest part is knowing who to listen to, right? Because you don't have thousands of customers. You can't do like a survey, a public opinion poll. And so I think sometimes it's easy to get stuck in your own head and to not know, well, I've got this one client who really doesn't like this, and then I've got these 3 clients who kind of like it. How do I reconcile all that? And are there ways maybe that either of you guys have experienced that we can hear what's right for us, so that we're not just following every single time a customer says, we'll change this, we'll change that, we'll do this, we'll do that?
Well, when you're starting out, you don't have enough of your own customers to listen to. So you can't do what Denny's were doing. What you have to do instead is listen to the market. Where are people already buying? When people have this problem that your business is there to solve, what are they doing about it now? And understand why they are doing that, why they're going with this company, or why they are doing nothing. Understand their decision-making then, and that decision-making process is your answer. And sometimes it means, yeah, they're not ready to buy any service because they don't view it as important enough, or whatever. Sometimes it's just resistance to change, or nothing can be done that they feel is cheap enough, that the solutions are more expensive than the problem is a hassle to them. Those are your answers. So you need to either bring down the price or push up their expectations so that they see the value.
And in saying that, I see some people were saying stuff like, people don't ever tell you how to do these things. I have to give a shout out to Nodex, because they make it very possible to hear what is going on with people that would be comparable to your business. And they just happen to be the page of the week, according to Dennis Lavelle. Yeah, so, yeah.
So if people don't know Nodex, if they don't understand what it is, give us an idea. Because I know what it is, sort of, but honestly, I don't use it because I'm still a newbie. So help me understand how it's going to help me.
Okay, I'm going to turn this one over to Ammon, because I know that Ammon had a personal tour of it.
Oh, okay.
It's a great tool that enables you to track all kinds of activity, including by hashtag, by region, by language, all kinds of things that are important to understand to find your market's conversation and to find the particular conversations that apply to what you want to know about. So in your case, it would be things to do with their finances, particularly looking for mentions of accountant would be really useful, because it's often when they're talking about a meeting with their accountant that they're talking about what they're having trouble with day to day.
Right.
Talking about tax returns, because again, that's one of those big pivotal moments where people realise they've got a problem or realise that they haven't got a solution, and just listening for those conversations, going and taking a look and seeing what's being spoken, what's being said, what are people saying voluntarily to their friends, is their issue. It gets you right there. You're the fly on the wall. That's where you start. You'll also find a few questions out there, some of which you'll be able to answer straight away. Others are going to be questions that you take away, that you think about, and you determine how your business can be the perfect answer to, and you turn that into a product that's already got a ready market out there. So that's how you use a tool like Nodex or Nodex itself to really get started with that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool. I got a tour of that as well from John. they've got a help community that they run here on Google+. And if you have any idea that you want to learn more about it, this is the ultimate listening tool. I mean, I've played around with a lot of different listening tools, and this is the one that I've found at least to listen the best and to be the easiest to use.
Cool. Okay. So, it's funny because usually I have trouble keeping us on the practical track. And now we've been extremely practical and not at all ethereal. So I'm kind of lost. Usually I'm pulling everybody towards the practical. Well, let's think about something. Let's think about something ethereal then. Let's think.
Let's hit some of the questions, because there were some of the comments. There were some great comments.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Going on here. So let's see here. Okay, there are some, of course, some funny ones. David Wells. I usually have to pay to see people love all over each other. Cheryl, my comment today blew up. Public loving all over each other. Anyone else feel like a voyeur? Yeah, and then Elaine jumps in and says, sudden cascade of comments. Fun. You know, it's funny. I've said that every single week since, like, April of last year, and no one's ever thought that. So I don't know what today's audience is all about, but let's see. Cheryl commented that there's no behind-the-scenes workings of the HOA with me. They're greatly exaggerated, and then she put in a he. So I'm not sure what to think there. So we have to know why, who we are before we know where we are going. Right on, Kristin Drysdale, so true. You know, it was interesting. There's been far more comments this week also about the Who Are You than we normally get, even on the Who Are You episode on Monday. So, Kristin, I think everything happened the way it was supposed to happen this week. I just want to say that. And, by the way, the audience loves you. Come on, Kristin, we love you, from Elena.
Oh, I love you guys too. Mwah.
Then, so proud of Kristin Drysdale. She said it like a super boss. Kristin Drysdale, you have to know, I don't think I could ever go through this exercise. So proud of you. Yeah, Cheryl won't even let me do it with her. David Wells says, I'm sure it went. I'm sure if I went through it, Cheryl Deuce, there would be crying involved. Well, now, David, you're going to have to be on the show. Rain, I guess this is her first time seeing this exercise. You're reminding me of that kid that just keeps asking why. Yep, that's us. Donald says, reminds me of anger management with Jack Nicholson. I know it's the first time Donald's seen that exercise. Elaine says, mother and nurturer, we're here to grow upon each other's energies and make something greater of what we are. Elaine loved that. Tanya says, so glad Kristin Drysdale said yes. Cheryl says, so important to know who you are in all aspects of life, and everyone will tell you that you have to know who you are. Not many telling you how to figure it out. And you know, we're not claiming to tell you how to figure it out, but this is certainly a good exercise to help you figure that out, whether it's for a business or for you personally. So there's our comments so far.
There was one other one that I would love to have Kristin answer. It was, and I can't remember who it was. Sorry, I lost it. But someone, we're going to see. Oh, it was David, of course. He wants to know what your vision is, Kristin.
This one right here.
Okay. My vision for what?
Well, that's a good question. Because we're coming towards.
What's your vision?
Yeah, exactly. We're coming towards 2015. Do you have a big project that's coming up? I know that you're involved in a lot of different things. Is there something that you're particularly passionate about, or something that you see as a new direction for you in the year?
Okay, so when I break it all down, the thing that I'm probably most excited about, and I need to pour more energy into it, is Lend One Hand. I absolutely adore that whole project and everything that's behind it. one hand up, one hand down. And I think that is just indicative of who we are, especially those of us who congregate around this Google Plus community. It's all about when we learn something, we share it. That's what you do. When you find something that's amazing and that it touches you, you share it. And there's no way that we can share something without having been exposed to it first. So making yourself accessible to more knowledge and more new ideas is paramount. So I just see my vision is building upon that whole concept and building upon those communities that are striving to reach out and help people.
Is there something, I know there's a lot of things that are your past experience and your desire to help that are kind of an integral part of you, but is there something in particular about, I don't know, an event that happened this year in the world, or is it just that the message of really trying to help in both ways resonated so strongly with you?
Yeah, well, definitely A, B, C, D, and all of that. But the core of me that is just feels so motivated to do all of this really comes back to my kids. And January 2nd, 2010, when they were taken from me. I had, not everybody knows this, but quite a few people I think are starting to know my story a little bit, but I'll just go into it briefly for those people who don't know. I was married, and my ex-husband had undiagnosed schizophrenia, and it got to the point where I needed outside help, and I had like 3 years being a prisoner in my own home. We didn't have TV, we didn't have newspaper, like nothing. We lived in an area where there's no mass transportation. It's 2-mile walk to like the nearest like public thing. His parents lived 4 houses down from us. They were pretty much my only access to the outside world. And so whatever they said, I went with, because, you know, what else do you do when you're in that situation? Our youngest was born with a fetal heart defect, and Chris would take her to her doctor's appointments. He got to the point where he was being so paranoid about the doctor, the cardiologist, that he wanted to give up the cardiologist. He came home with Scarlett and said and announced to me that he was supposed to be at the hospital with her, but yet he felt like the cardiologist was just wanting to steal Scarlett. That as soon as they got over there, they were just going to steal her. And hearing that was just absolutely terrifying. He left, he went to the store. I took all the kids with me, and I walked 4 houses down, and I said to his mom, we have to do something. This is what just happened. And things just started happening. She made it so that I could go to the next cardiologist appointment, and I just said to the cardiologist, I said, I feel like the mom from the Old Testament, where King Solomon looks at the 2 moms and he's going to split the child, and that mom, the real mom, says, take the baby. I feel like that mom, because I cannot do this. I need some more help. I've tried to leave. I can't. He threatens people to the point of people are afraid, but they don't want to step too far into our circle because they're afraid of what he'll do to me. It was just a really, really bad situation. So once I told the cardiologist, then things really started to move. We had CPS there shortly after, and it was supposed to be a temporary thing, but then we lost our house. so the kids are in foster care at this point. We're working on getting him to go into like to the hospital, to something, to get help. He finally was court ordered to a mental health hospital. Yay! And he worked really hard. I just have to say, he worked really hard from there. He spent his time there. He went through group homes, graduated. So anyone that has a mental illness, please go to the doctor. There is hope. Things can get better. He is a wonderful, fantastic father now. We all love him. He's one of those success stories. So I just have to push that out real quick. But yeah, so with everything that happened to us, I just feel like it's my duty to make sure that I get people's voices heard. If they have a message, or if they have something is going on, like, they need to know that someone cares. So I just try to reach back to whoever reaches to me. Someone has to be there. Someone has to be that person to say, you matter.
And to that, I just want to say that is absolutely where vision and change comes in, because hope is a form of vision, and Kristin had vision that things could be better, and that things needed to be better, and of course the strength to take on that change, even when it meant, you know, losing the children, the vision to see that there is a way of getting them back, and the faith to keep going with it, and that's where this all comes back to.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and thank you, Kristin, so much for sharing that. I agree, obviously, with Ammon that's this notion of being so clear about what was really important to you is part, you know, it's kind of your guiding light. Like you said, the reason now that you're so inspired to do these other things is because of that experience, and I'm really thrilled that I got to meet you first, but I'm also thrilled that you're here on the Plus, because the love that you have and this desire you have to help anybody who needs to get their voice heard is really important, and I think it's part of what makes this platform a great place to be, and different from most of the other places where that's not the norm. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to point out, Stephanie, there is no lack of ethereal in this week's show now.
Okay, we can check. You know, Dennis and I, we actually have a checklist. That's what happens, and I go through, and I'm kidding.
Yeah, Stephanie wrote the whole checklist because she had to get this more organized, and the ethereal was just not. So there's actually 5 different points we have to hit on for ethereal to be truly ethereal. Yeah.
I know, Stephanie, there is a whole page of a spreadsheet just on ethereal. I know there is.
It actually has
And there's
12 columns.
There's another page on serendipity. She actually rates whether it happened on a score out of 10 across 15 questions.
Yeah, no, saw that coming. No good.
And this is why I am so grateful to everyone here on the Plus, because I can actually laugh at the fact that people think it's weird, but you're okay with it. You'll still work with me, even though you're like, really? You put that in a spreadsheet? There's something wrong with you.
Oh, nothing wrong with you at all. I think it's more admiration than anything.
It certainly is for me. Stephanie, you know, this show is what it is, not because of my crazy, creative, serendipity-loving self. You took something that needed some focus, and you gave it that focus. So,
well, thank you, but I think that there's no way it would have worked had it just been the planning part, right? So it needed a little of both, and that's what we've been able to create, so I'm very happy.
Exactly. Dennis needs you, because how can he take it off the rails when there are no rails? You provide the plan for him to go completely away from.
Off of, right? I'm like,
because otherwise it's just a bog of confusion. It's not off the rails, it's a bog of confusion.
Okay, so when you said that, I kept thinking, okay, so I'm a rancher now. What I do is I build the fences so he could just go off the range. Is that what happens? Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Everybody has to have a purpose. At least I know what I'm good for. Oh, I'm kidding. Mostly kidding. But
and we're mostly kidding too.
I know, but that it wouldn't be funny if there wasn't any truth in it, right?
I got to throw this up here. Where did this thing go? Oh, it's right here. Yeah, so true.
Zara knows. Zara's had a few discussions with me too. So yes, thank you, Zara. Ethereal spreadsheet. That's what we need.
Yep.
Oh goodness. Okay, so how are we going to get this? See, and this is what I do. How are we going to get this back on track? Right? Come on now. Let's focus. Let's get this back on track. Well, okay. I know what we can do. Ammon can tell us what his vision is for 2015. That'll buy me a few minutes, and I can figure out what to do next.
Oh, wait. Have we gone too far on the ethereal now? We're making you uncomfortable.
It's getting warm in here.
Okay, make her feel more comfortable, Ammon, because in this arena, I'm completely incapable of bringing it back.
Okay. Stephanie, numbers, data, numbers. There you go. See, already the calming effect.
Wow.
My vision for 2015. Wow, that is a huge question. And you know what? I'm actually not doing that much with plans. I'm going a lot with feeling. I'm putting enough plans in to allow for serendipity, to be able to react to whatever comes along. Because this goes right back to what Stephanie was just saying. I love the fact that people can handle this about me. G+ really exemplifies the thing of it takes a village. We are incredibly accepting of diversity because we need it. This is a platform where we all come together, and if we were all the same, it wouldn't work. We need all of those differences. We need all of those things. Just like this show is two very different personality types coming together and creating something that wouldn't work without the pair of you in a way. It's the planning and the going wildly off track that makes this show what it is. That's what it's all about, and it's wonderful when we get personalities that in some ways are as different as Kristin and I. Kristin just starting off on what we know is going to be a fascinating career, and believe me, you will want to know this woman in the next 5 to 10 years, because I know her career is going to be fantastic. And there's me with 20 years in who, gosh, I might as well be past it.
You're coming along for the ride, buddy.
That's funny, when you were talking about Ammon, when you were talking about opposites, I was thinking curmudgeon and something else. I didn't think you were going to go with the business part, but thank you. There's that too.
Again, it is all of those different parts, isn't it? Is that you've got the woman who personifies hope and vision, and me.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. That's that element too. Don't forget that one.
Here's talk of ethereal peace, love. Bullshit.
Whatever.
Well,
when we talk about ethereal business, it's not peace, love, and everything. It's just, in fact, you, I think, gave the best description of what it is Stephanie and I have been trying to do for the last year. I'm putting in only enough goals just to be able to allow serendipity to happen. Ethereal business isn't La La Land. Ethereal business is actually being in touch with your core values and using those to guide you as much, if not more, than using your purpose statement and your bank statement. So, yeah. But it's fun to joke about it being La La Land.
Well, to go right back to where we started with Kristin's whys, your mission statement, your balance sheets, all of those are who you are. but you've got to be open to the why. And then everything else is just knowing who you are and then deciding how you act about that. And what we're looking at in this whole series of movement and motion is action. Knowing who you are is just the core of that, right?
Yep. But
Wow.
don't you think that part of the problem too is when we have the when we have this idea of what business is supposed to be like, we have a really hard time getting it to connect back to who we are, and so we kind of put it in this box, and we're like, yeah, but that's business. Yeah, but that's work. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to exist. And I think, you know, in my opinion, and it's something Dennis and I have talked about, that's part of what we wanted to do with this show, is to say to people, it has to work for you as a person. Whether you have a job or you own your own business or you're out there doing volunteer work, or regardless of what you're doing, ultimately you can't be successful if it's not something you really care about and something you believe is going to help people and make the world a better place. So there's peace and love. Sorry.
That's so true. And people you have to make your passion what you do. If you're passionate about something, that's what you're supposed to do. That's why you're passionate about it. It's because that's what you are meant to do.
Yeah. And part of the thing where people do go wrong with every form of internet marketing is thinking about what they're supposed to do instead of what they are able to do, what they are driven to do. You know, you see people, oh, I'm supposed to blog, I'm supposed to put out my business, I'm supposed to be very businesslike and blog about my business and post in social media about my business. And we all know what we call those kind of posts. Boring spam. And yet people think that they need to do it. And even the people who complain about other people's boring spam then start doing their own boring spam. And instead, look, it's okay to be a person. First and foremost, it's okay to be a person. Before you start doing a business account and posting as your business, post as yourself. Post as a representative, a person within that business. Because that will give you a feel for the platform and some connection and some people that actually give a damn about your business, because unless I'm in the shop right now, I don't. I don't care if you're Coca-Cola. I don't want you in my social stream yet, unless you've given me some reason to, and some reason to think that there's going to be something interesting there. And I do. I think that expectation is where a lot of people go wrong, instead of where am I and why.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because we also have this idea that, you know, when we get there, whatever get there means, then it'll be easy, right? Like there's going to be a time when I don't ask myself these questions, when I'm just going to absolutely magically know what to do and it's all going to be successful and I won't have to worry about it. And I think that, to me, is the biggest lie and the biggest problem with thinking about your plans or your vision or whatever you want to call it when you're thinking about the coming year and the changes you want to make. Don't fall into the trap of saying, oh, once I get this new client or once I make 6 figures or whatever it is, then I can ease off and everything's going to be easy. That's why it's so important to do something you're passionate about, because it's never going to get any easier. You're always going to have to ask yourself these questions. You're always going to have to say, wait a minute, is this the right thing to spend my time and energy on right now? So I don't know. Do you guys have a kind of a methodology for when you get in those situations that you can use to help you get back to the right place or get back to the right track, you know, the right mindset, so you're still making good decisions?
I always think that if you're off track, or if you feel like you're not quite getting life, then go volunteer somewhere, because losing yourself in service, you find yourself. That's where I find the most clarity. So whether that means like going to a soup kitchen to ask if you can serve the beans to people, or you know, boxing supplies to go out, food boxes, you know, whatever. That's where I find the place where I get the most sense of humanity. brings me back.
You know, for the last couple of years, Cheryl and I have done something the day after Christmas where we go to the area where the homeless tend to congregate in Salt Lake City. And through the year, we've collected gloves and hats and socks and some warm things like that. And we would take them and hand them out. And the main reason we started doing this is our kids were too young to go volunteer at a soup kitchen or anything like that. They wouldn't let us, and we wanted the kids to have the hands-on experience. But the first year we ever did it, we had somebody living with us who we brought in off the street. And he didn't have a whole lot, and we got down there, and he was so touched by the experience. He met this kid who was a little younger than him, but he took his coat off and he gave it. No, wait, this was actually Cheryl's son, Nathan, my stepson. He took his coat off, his own back, and gave it to this kid that was younger than him. And it just blew us away to watch how touched he had been by the experience. So we try and do it every year. It's sometimes fairly difficult getting all those kids to be willing to go down and do this. The funny thing is they always love it. When it's done, they're always really happy, but boy, they don't want to go down there.
Well, why is that?
You know, I'm not really certain, but I think in their minds they're kind of uncomfortable. They think they're going to be uncomfortable, even though the year before they had a great experience. They talked to these people. They realized they were real and human and, you know, not something to be afraid of. But by the time a year comes back around, I'm guessing they start to think that, you know, it's going to be uncomfortable. I should ask them.
Isn't that interesting?
If you have an answer to that, because she seems to be more in touch than me, please add it to the comments.
Isn't it interesting that children like have this sense already that they just know that that they should feel uncomfortable? Because I think that we should. I think that anytime that we're just sitting on a pile of stuff, that we should be uncomfortable. That's telling you something. That's saying you have too much. You don't need it all. And children just intrinsically know. They may not know exactly why that is, but I think that that's where parents come in. That's where our job is, to help them understand and identify that feeling and teach them what to do with it.
And don't you think that's also part of why sometimes it's easier to just stick with what we should do, because it lets us avoid all those uncomfortable feelings, because it just feels uncomfortable anyway, but we just put it in the box of this is what I should do. So it's normal that it feels uncomfortable. It's just a should. Whereas if we really get in touch with what's important to us, then, like you said, the uncomfortableness can actually give us good information, because it's not a normal feeling. We don't always feel uncomfortable about everything we're doing, only about the stuff that we need to pay attention to.
All right.
Okay. I thought I cut Ammon off, so I was like, oh, I better finish quick so Ammon can say what he was going to say.
There was a couple of comments which are sort of saying, oh, it's good to know who you are. And there were a couple that kind of indicated in the way they said it. It came across to me as that there's a couple of people in the audience who feel they don't know who they are right now. To which I've got that curmudgeon's honest opinion again. You do. You just don't like the answer right now. You know exactly who you are, but you don't want to admit it. But you need to, because even knowing who you are doesn't prevent change, it enables it. And it makes it not only possible, but a lot easier. So just know who you are. And yeah, it probably is that bit you don't really want to admit. And then what do you want to be? That's the second part. So the vision that precedes the change. Know who you are, have the vision to know what you want to be, and just change. It really is that simple.
One of the most powerful exercises that I ever did in therapy was creating a vision board. And we could only use the magazines that were on the table because there were a whole bunch of us that were in that group therapy session, or that group therapy. Everyone that was in our group that we met for like 6 weeks. There were some of us that were like overachievers, and so we were like, but I want to take this home and I want to work on it. No, you have to do this with the supplies that are here. And so that limit, that boundary, kind of made it even more challenging, but we worked with it. And we had amazing experiences with finding these pictures in these magazines of things that would represent what we wanted in the future, like what we wanted our life to look like, what we wanted, and we had to do it from 3 months, 6 months, a year, and 5 years. And it was really therapeutic. So I would suggest that as an exercise to create a vision board. Paint that picture of what you want. And once you've got it, if you like put it in a prominent place where you see every day, start to imagine yourself inside of it. And it kind of helps clarify your path to it.
Well, and I think the other thing is if you've got a very clear picture, it's easier when things get tough to know why you're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because I think that's the other part that sometimes happens is if we're not really clear on where we're going, as soon as the path gets a little dark, we're like, maybe I'll just go back the other way and I'll try something else. And it's easy to get sidetracked. So I really like that idea of finding a way to create a picture, whether it's a mental picture or a physical picture, of what it is you're working towards. Yeah, it's very powerful.
And know that you're probably going to take like 3 steps forward and then take 5 back, at some points. And then some points you're going to take like 4 steps forward and then just 1 back. Like it all fluctuates, and those fluctuations are natural and necessary.
Yep. And the one other thing I would say is to the people that Ammon was mentioning, nobody knows who they are perfectly, right? Like when you say, I know, like if I say I know who I am, I'm not saying, and I'm never going to change, and I like all the pieces of myself that I know. All I'm saying is what Ammon was suggesting. I'm at least aware of what's happening and where I am, even though I know there are things I want to work on. So it's not that there's some magic moment where all of a sudden nirvana happens and you know everything and it's all great. But you just kind of have to get more comfortable with this is where I am and this is where I want to go. And if you can get those 2 pieces going instead of worrying about this is what I think I should be doing or spending a lot of energy on that stuff, I think it's probably going to help you be happier, honestly. And go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and you being happier and you being more committed to what you're doing in your personal life and in your business is always a good thing.
Okay, and I was going to say, and I don't believe that you have to wait to start posting about things or commenting, whatever. Don't wait until you're already there to get in the conversation, because that's what I've done. I am not where I want to be. However, I have joined in conversations, and through doing that, gosh, I'm getting associations. I just had Yana Nystrom share a post that I did about their event yesterday. Oh my gosh, really, Yana? Really? I just was shocked. I fell over. I think I messaged a few people. She just shared my post. But that's how you do it. You get in those conversations and you just make it happen. You start talking. People respect passion, because what else can you do? You have to respect it. If someone's passionate about something, all you want to do is promote it, boost it. It's a beautiful thing to watch someone be excited.
And it's contagious.
Yep.
It's awfully hard to shut someone down when they're that excited about what they're doing. So
even if it's if they're excited about what you were doing, in my case, I was excited about what they were doing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Any moment now, David's going to post, I usually have to pay to watch somebody get excited.
Yeah, and Cheryl's going to have a follow-up to it.
I love our people.
I know. All right. So, in typical Network Roundtable fashion, we are over time.
Yay!
So, yes, we've gone off the rails again. Excellent. But do we want to start moving towards closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think it is time for closing thoughts. I've thought that for a few minutes. I just wanted to let you guys go because this, I mean, I really don't think anyone's wanting this to end, but we need to be respectful. So it's been a fantastic conversation and such an exciting way to end the season of movement. This is amazing. So let's do our closing thoughts this way. Of course, Stephanie always goes first, and I always go last. And let's do Ammon after Stephanie, and then Kristin, in that order.
All right. Well, first off, I would like to say a huge thank you to Kristin and to Ammon for being here with us today, and for giving some really unique perspectives and some really interesting tips about the ways that we can not only kind of stimulate our vision for the coming year for our business, but also live it as a person, because I think that ultimately, which I've already said, but I'll say it again, is the key to success. So I want to thank you both for being here. I want to say a special thanks to Dennis for doing the Season of Movement, for having me be a part of it, for listening when I said, Dennis, look at the schedule. How many times have I said to Dennis, come on, you need to go look at that spreadsheet? And he's looked at me and been like, okay, just tell me what it says, please. Don't make me look at it. So thank you,
The funny
Dennis.
thing is, I created that spreadsheet before we even brought Stephanie in, but I still don't go there.
No. Well, and in his defense, I did add like 7 different pages and 20 different columns. So anyway, but thank
It's
you
pretty
so
robust.
much. Thank you so much, Dennis, for letting me be a part of it. And lastly, I want to say thanks to everybody who has been in the audience, not only today, but throughout this season, all of our superheroes and sidekicks. You guys are all wonderful, and I'm really excited and proud of what we've done this year, well, this season. And I hope that it's helped everyone in the audience and all the people who've been a part of the show, even if it's only helped them a little bit. I hope that it's helped you somehow make some progress on your business and get excited about what's coming.
Ammon, you're up.
Well, I mean, my thoughts on this is I've already kind of expressed earlier when saying about how it all comes together into movement. You know, movement is often part of who you are. It's certainly part of your journey, and this season has provided a lot of opportunities for people to look at the situation they're in, the way they want to move forwards, and ways of getting there, how to look at all kinds of aspects about themselves. I love the fact that I've been able to come on as both a superhero and a sidekick, and that really ties to what Kristin mentioned much earlier, the lend a hand movement, where you're reaching one hand up and one hand down. One hand up to those stronger than you or who know more than you about something, and one hand down to pull the others up with you. And absolutely, I love the fact that I've been able to take both roles to be the hand up and the hand down. Thank you, Kristin.
Thank you. It's such an honor to have you say yes when I asked you if you would do this. It's just such a beautiful thing to me that you're so humble. You like to tout being a curmudgeon, but really when it all comes down to it, you're the most humble person I know. And I'm just really, really, really grateful that you're there whenever I have questions about anything. You've just been absolutely amazing. I appreciate that. Thank you, Stephanie and Dennis, for giving me this opportunity to come on here and explore this great topic, because I think it's so important for people to have a vision for themselves. We each are amazing creatures. We have power within us, and it's just intrinsic, and it's our gift to the world, to ourselves, to everybody, to find that power and to let it multiply. I put in the chat, or I put in the stream, the community address. So everyone go, please sign up and find your spot in there so that you can help find your spot in this world.
All right. Thank you guys so much. This has been, you know, everybody that watches regularly knows serendipity is my favorite word. But there is no possible way that Stephanie and I could have planned this as the close of our season. This is far beyond anything that we could have tried to contrive or make happen. And as has been the case so many times this season, the perfect guest was on for the right subject. And you guys have just blown the conversation about vision and change out of the ballpark. Thank you. Next season, I've announced this previously, but next season is going to be slightly different. One of the things that we are doing is we're going to have a rotating co-host from a team of pretty amazing people, including this one right here. Really excited to have Kristin part of that team. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking all through next season about core values. And hopefully in the process, if you don't have personal core values, we're hoping that we can be a catalyst to help you figure out what are your core values, or if you have a business, what the core values for that business should be. Because, well, if you haven't read the book, Delivering Happiness, about the story of Zappos, you do not understand the value of core values yet. That book is the best description of why core values are vital to a business that I can think of. So take the time and read that. That's your homework during the Christmas break, because for the next 3 weeks, Network Roundtable is not going to be live. We wanted to take a bit of a break, and we've got a lot of prep work to get next season ready for all of you, but we're going to have a great time talking about core values next season. So thank you all for being a part of Network Roundtable, for supporting the work that we're doing, and helping us create hopefully a movement that will drive more people to think more about the ethereal aspects of business. Merry Christmas!